It's my great pleasure to introduce two wonderful teachers who are going to come up and walk through some content with you. Linda Durham is a primary school teacher and a mother. She's one of the co-founders of the Irish Education Alliance, which is a group of teachers that came together 5 years ago to challenge some of the COVID measures in schools. And Mary Creedon is a secondary school teacher and also a mother. She's a former SPHE teacher and coordinator. She's also our brave whistleblower who spoke out after attending the DCU training course for teachers preparing to teach the controversial junior cycle SPHE course. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome these wonderful women, and I hope you all have a great day.
So my name is Linda Durham, as Jana said, and I'm the co-founder of the Irish Education Alliance, a parent and a primary school teacher. We work very closely with the Natural Women's Council and the Parents' Rights Alliance. My campaigning started during COVID to stop the masks in schools. This then led to child protection and campaigning against gender ideology being taught as fact in schools and overly sexualised and indoctrinating books available for children in libraries. I heard about these books in libraries and went to investigate in my local library in Rush, County Dublin in January 23. There I found What's the Tea? And you can see it up there, and there's two of the pages from there. I was horrified to see its contents, and I'll just read just a little bit for you. Some people have a prostate gland up their bum, which feels really nice when massaged. You'll also definitely need lube if you're planning to put anything in a bum. When contemplating anal sex, some people douche or squirt a bit of water into their back passage so that sneaky poo nuts don't get in the way of sexy fun time. This chapter is called Sexy Fun Time and is available for children in libraries, many hundreds across the country, for 12 to 17-year-olds. As I said, I was horrified, and I thought when I showed this book to the librarian that she would be equally horrified and have all these books removed, possibly call the police, followed by a nationwide investigation. But the opposite happened. They defended the books and also got very defensive. The majority of people, mainly due to government and media propaganda, claim that these books are educational and have called us dangerous, far-right, anti-LGBTQ agitators who wish to censor excellent reading material for children. President Higgins, in an article in the Irish Times, called us vigilantes and compared the books to James Joyce's. You can see all this if you Google President Higgins, Irish Times, library books, and you can read the article for yourself. It is absolutely shocking. So the next slide here, you're going to see there are the two reading catalogues in the libraries. You see the one there on the left is a catalogue for children and young adults, and then the two on the right is the Pride Reading Guide. The Pride Reading Guide was originally called Rainbow Reads, you might remember that, produced by Children's Books Ireland, and it was a resource on the primary and secondary school curricula. The reason why I'm talking about the library books today is because it is all linked to what is going on in schools. It's one and the same goal. Many schools would have bought these books, and today there's probably many of these books in libraries, in schools, with mainly most teachers maybe not being aware. It is interesting to note that on PUST, if you look up there, aren't on the 2024 one. We did a lot of campaigning regarding on PUST, and we even had a protest or an assembly in the GPO. We closed down business there, and I believe that along with all the public pushback has resulted in them stopping sponsoring this Pride Reading Guide, which has many very highly sexualised books like the one I just read you before. So, as I said, the books are divided into two categories, highly sexualised and indoctrinating. This book is gay, in the next slide. You probably have heard of this one. It has got a lot of immediate attention. And I will read here just the quote for you. blowies. As with handies and breakfast eggs, all men like their blowies in different ways. The term blowjob is massively misleading, as you won't actually be blowing on his penis. It's more about sucking, although I stress you're not trying to suck his kidneys out through his urethra. It's more about sliding your mouth up and down the shaft of his cock. Now, I actually really detest reading this material, and I have refused to read it publicly. If there's children around, I actually find it even upsetting. And yet, this material is available for 12 to 17-year-olds in libraries. And also this book is linked to the school curriculum. It was originally on the junior cycle SPHE resources. And after an event we had in Swords in April 23, Norma Foley removed it. But it is still linked to the curriculum and is on a reading list in a parent's booklet called Making the Big Talk, Many Small Talks. I don't know if you've ever come across these booklets for parents. They're for all ages from 4 right up to 18. So as you can see there to the right, there's 2 books. This book is gay and Transmission are still in a reading list for parents to give to their child if they feel they need it. And parents will think if an educationer, like a teacher or a principal, advises that this book is good for their child, they may just hand it over to them without realising the content that's in there, because they would never believe that a school could recommend such a book, or the HSC. Yeah? So these books violate the Children's First Act 2015, which you can see here. And highlighted there in red, it says that child sexual abuse, just to summarise, is showing sexually explicit material to a child, and it is part of the grooming process. It is written there in black and white, and yet nothing's been done about this. So another book then is Trans Teen Survival Guide. The books are divided into highly sexualized and indoctrinating. This is a very indoctrinating book, and I'll read there the quote. Puberty blockers are used to increase the well-being of trans teens and prevent dysphoria, depression, and poor mental health. Puberty blockers can therefore be a lifesaver for trans teens. This is in the library. There's 300 plus around the country for children to read. And you see there to the right, there's pictures there as to how they can inject these hormones into their bodies for a 12-year-old. Like, it beggars belief. So another example is Transmission, and this is linked to the curriculum. And a quote from that, your gender is how you feel in your head as opposed to what's between your legs. In recent years, people have begun to think of gender as more of a spectrum. These books, again, 12 to 17-year-olds, but there's also many, many books for under 12-year-olds. You see here, there's a book called Fred Gets Dressed. And this is for 0 to 7-year-olds. And Fred is a little boy. He dresses up in his mother's clothes, puts on makeup and jewellery, family celebrates his transition, and then he runs off with no underwear on. So that's an example for the under 12s. And another one here is called It's Perfectly Normal. And by the way, all these books will be on the tables afterwards so that you can look through them yourselves. Okay? And you can see there a quote, which actually I don't have here and I can't read it. Maybe somebody else would like to read it. But it is, again, hugely indoctrinating for a child to say that they can change their sex at will. I mean, a child, it's not information that a child needs to learn. They're not able to process that information. And this book is for 12-year-olds, or 10-year-olds actually, for 10-year-olds. Why are these books in libraries and schools? It goes back a lot further, as Eugene, to my right here, will explain later. But it really kicked off here with this national LGBTQTI plus inclusion strategy, 2019 to 2021. I don't know if any of you are aware of this. And you see there for 1.6 and 1.7, there's 2 goals there, one for education and one for the libraries. So way back then, they decided that these books were going into the libraries. They didn't just end there up there by accident. These are the books that I removed from libraries. This is the first one here, as I was telling you earlier. And you can see there it's got a high sticker on it, which is Healthy Ireland, HSE. And so you'll notice that most of these books have those stickers on them. Same with the Trans Teen Survival Guide. It's got the high sticker on there. All right, so the Department of Health were given the job, and the HSC also provide many resources for the junior cycle SPHE curriculum, which Mary Creedon will elaborate on after me. So we launched the library campaign in January outside Leinster House on January 23rd, and we brought the books to Pearse Street Garda Station, where we were told by Inspector Rory Quinn that it was a civil matter. Every Garda station we reported the books to were instructed to say the same thing. The guards were just following orders. Again, naively, I thought they would storm the libraries and remove the books. Following this, many parents and concerned individuals followed our peaceful campaign. Many librarians moved the incriminating books to the adult section, but many others complained that they were feeling harassed and unsafe. The media, of course, focused on that and called us far-right agitators, etc. How did protecting children turn into a story where the librarians were the victims? I mean, just think about that, just how did that happen? I sent formal complaints to Fingal County Council, to the Ombudsman, and to the HSC. And the HSC referred me to the Department of Health, and Fingal County Council referred me to the Ombudsman, more going around in circles. And you could read there the reply from the Ombudsman says that these books do not meet the threshold that fall under a violation of the Children's First Act. He actually said that these books are not bad enough. Are not bad enough. You heard what I read there. Sorry, getting really emotional here, but it is a very emotional subject. You heard what I read there, and he said they're not bad enough. We had a peaceful assembly in April 23, and we were harangued by a trans activist group, similar group to today. They barricaded the library door, and we were escorted in by the police for our protection. At a councillors' meeting after this, they called us well-known and aggressive far-right anti-LGBT agitators. The same month, I was on Live Line, and Boucher Hayes, standing in for Joe, did all he could to defend the books and tried his best to intimidate and harass me. Jana then came on and read a quote from This Book is Gay, and he tried to silence her. How ironic. And again, you can listen back to this interview. It is not a coincidence that these books are in libraries, and at the same time, gender ideology is being taught as fact in schools. The new curriculum is due to start in September 25 in primary schools, but already Busybodies is being taught to 5th and 6th classes, where children are taught that they can be a boy, girl, neither, or both. The next slide here from the INTO is called Different Families, Same Love. And you'll see there a glossary for junior infants. And you see there that trans is a definition, transgender bullying. 4-year-olds don't need to learn this material. 12-year-olds don't need to learn it. The draft curriculum is on the NCCA website for you to read. Please take time to study this and be very vigilant as to what is in the toolkit. The parents group later will inform you more about programmes in primary schools, such as Canaltas. There is part of a famous saying, accept the things you cannot change. But I would like to change that to, change the things you cannot accept. I cannot accept that children's minds and bodies can be harmed by any of this. It is my duty as a parent and a teacher to protect children from harm. You can visit our website for all our campaigns and statements. And I just would like to finish with an INTO training video for primary school teachers that instructs teachers as to how to socially transition a child. Mary Creedon will then speak about secondary schools. Thank you all for listening to me today.
At a parent-teacher meeting, a mother told me that her child, who we called Lucy, identified as a boy and wished to be called Liam. After this, I set about preparing the class for Liam's social transition. I taught lessons investigating and challenging gender stereotypes, and using the book Introducing Teddy, explained that some people don't identify with the gender they're assigned at birth. I said, Tilly wasn't happy because everyone saw her as a boy, but she knew she was really a girl. My pupil Ray asked, so boys can change into girls? And then Julie chimed in, and girls can change into boys? Yes, I said. Sometimes, while the doctor says a baby is a boy, as that baby grows up, they feel inside that they're not a boy. While they might have a boy's name, like Tilly, they know they aren't a boy and want to change their name. The same can happen for a girl. By making those changes, the person feels happier and more like themselves. Some people who experience this might use the word transgender to describe themselves. Once the pupils understood the concept, and once Liam and his mum were happy, I helped him tell the class. Everyone, do you remember last week we read about Tilly? Everyone replied, yes. Well, we're very lucky to know a person like that, and they're even in our class. The person we've been calling Lucy is really a boy, and is now ready to tell us all. Liam told the class, I've always felt like a boy. My new name is Liam. So when I call the ruller, I'll be calling out Liam McCarthy, and we will all call him Liam, won't we? The whole class agreed. Yes, teacher. Then Paul asked, teacher, is Liam still sitting at our table? I laughed and replied, yes, nothing has changed except Liam's name. And nothing did change, except that Liam seemed much happier in school. A few weeks later, I introduced the pupils to non-binary identity, where people don't identify with being either a boy or a girl. The most important element of any lesson on gender identity is that we put the emphasis on respecting everyone, regardless of gender identity or expression.
Hello everybody, and it's great to be here today. What a fantastic opportunity to be here, and my brief really is just to give you an insight into the new SPHE specification that was introduced in 2023. And there's 39 learning outcomes in that SPHE specification, and there's some of those learning outcomes controversial. So the new SPHE specification is extremely controversial, as it is introducing children to a very skewed version of sexuality education. There was a consultation stage where members of the public could make a consultation regarding the draft specification, but many were very critical of the timing of the launch of this specification, as many teachers were on holidays. And there was no official invitation given to parents or teachers to participate in the consultation process. So it very nearly slipped through under the radar, except for the huge efforts made by Natural Women's Council, Parents' Rights Alliance and the Irish Education Alliance and other organisations to inform people that a consultation process was taking place. And really, parents then actually, we know, sent in submissions. Over 4,313 submissions were actually sent in by parents. And that was a fantastic feat for the organisations in promoting what was actually taking place in the specifications. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you to the specification. Just to see, the hard copy of it is here. Okay, and looking at strand 1, understanding myself and others. Now, in this strand, there's actually a huge focus on gender. Gender is actually mentioned 4 times in the specification. We have it there in 1.4, where there's reference made to gender identity. Gender identity also comes into learning outcome 3.6. There's reference also made to gender equity and gender stereotypes. And also looking then at 1.6, we have to look at ways to actually create more inclusive environments. So what I'll do now is I'll take you to the NCCA SPHE curriculum toolkit. This is the official toolkit backed by the Department of Education. It's the toolkit that they want teachers to use when delivering the specification. Now, there has been a lot of controversy over the books, and rightly so, because some of the stuff that's in the books is absolutely scandalous, and I'll show you some of those books as well. But the Department of Education can't deny either that there is some scandalous stuff in these SPHE toolkits. So if you see there on the screen, you'll see 4 strands. Strand 1 is understanding myself and others. Strand 2 is about making healthy choices. Strand 3 is about relationships and sexuality. And strand 4 is about emotional well-being. So they are controversial, and they're controversial from the point of view of the approach taken to teach them and the sex-positive approach that has been used to deliver those learning outcomes. So just focusing then on gender. If you want your children to understand a new concept such as gender identity, you first have to dismantle what they know. You have to just deconstruct what is normal to them so as to be able to reinvent something new. And this is where the indoctrination starts. Okay? So in the SPHE toolkit, they have produced this relationships and sexuality education booklet that can be used by teachers to deliver the learning outcomes for first years, second years, and third years. So there's one for each year group. So this is the one now that I'm going to focus on a lot in relation to the gender identity. So on page 13, in the teacher's notes, students learn and are told that the concept of gender is broader than simply being male or female. And they will also discuss the pressures to conform to gender expectations, as well as the consequences of a person being denied their gender expression. So this now is being geared towards 12, 13-year-olds for first years. So they're being told that gender is broader than just simply being male or female. And they're also stated in the resources that gender stereotyping can limit the development of natural talents and abilities of boys and girls, women and men, and life opportunities. So they're really trying to dismantle what children know, what children perceive to be normal in the roles that male and female play in society. On page 16 of the same resource book, first years are introduced to the story Cinderfella, where the gender roles are simply flipped so as to challenge gender expectation of male and female. Students will go through a series of questions to discuss the pressure of young people to conform to gender stereotypes. Teachers are again asked in the RSC booklet to, I quote, affirm that gender inequality and gender stereotypes produce harmful impact for all people. So imagine saying that to first year students. And also then in the textbooks, there's loads of examples of gender stereotyping that is not realistic to today. Not realistic, and they have these pictures painted of women and men, and they're very not realistic, and it's really dismantling what children know. So in the new specification then, gender identity, as I said, is in learning outcome 1.4 and 3.6. And it is defined, now Linda already defined it, but I'll define it again, as a person's felt internal and individual experience of gender which may or may not correspond with the sex registered at birth. And that is the definition given in the Junior Cycle SPHE Specification Appendix. So this again is geared for first years. They may have got a little bit of it in the busybody booklet that Linda mentioned in 6th class or 5th class, but this has been taught as fact to first year students. And the guidance document then for teachers when they're delivering this outcome is teachers are told that experts assert that all young people need to be given the opportunity and space to develop their unique identities in environments of support and affirmation. So I want to know, who are those experts that are advising the Department of Education? Because it's most definitely not the CAS report that they're following. Who are these experts? If we look also at the RSC 1 resource, again this one, 12, 13-year-olds are introduced to keywords such as transgender, non-binary, we see it there on the screen, non-binary drag queen, cross-dresser, and then through a series of videos, they're indoctrinated into the transgender ideology. The first video teachers are asked to show is what is transgender. And in this video, children are told that being transgender is wonderful because I'm truly who I am. I'm at ease, I'm comfortable, I'm happy, and that's all that matters. There's also a video then to follow on names and pronouns because children wouldn't be exposed to this before, they wouldn't understand it. So there's a video there to explain what pronouns are in the sense of transgender and to explain why people would actually use them. There's also another video then in the same Department of Education SPHE toolkit about being an ally. And in the Being an Ally video clip, the children are told that transgender people need allies because allies stick up for trans rights and LGBT rights. Also then, there's loads more. There's a handout then that teachers can give. The handout is up there. To children who may not fully understand it, and the definitions are written out: transgender, cisgender, gender non-binary. And that's again for 12, 13-year-olds. That's for first-year students. That's what first-year students are being exposed to in schools. Okay? And they're teaching gender ideology as fact. So then if we go on to slide 5, let's say this one here, looking at one of the SPHE, we had that already in the story time of the Irish Mammy. And again, to thank Ryland Media for the co-production of that, along with Natural Women's Council, and they can be followed on Twitter at Ryland Media. But again, we see the confused person. And again, this is in our first year SPHE textbook. There's crossword puzzles, everything. They've actually devoted, would you believe, 12 pages of their textbook, EDCO, 12 pages of their textbook to teaching children this, to teach children all about transgender ideology. It's absolutely scandalous. And going back then to 1.6, whereby children have to look at ways to devise ways to create more inclusive environments. The schools would run annual stand-up awareness weeks in schools to affirm this gender ideology in young children's minds, where LGBTQ+ is promoted and celebrated under diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this is done regardless of any Catholic or Christian ethos that might be in the school. And we also have policies now being updated in schools, the anti-bullying policy, the behavioural policies, and now CNOLTAs to actually affirm all this new type of thinking. Moving on, still in the NCCA SPHE toolkit, teachers then have to introduce the word sexual orientation to children, and this is in Learning Outcome 3.6, and they do it through a video called The Love Salad. And here 12, 13-year-olds are instructed to brainstorm the word sexual orientation, what they mean and what that word means to them. And in the video, not only are they introduced to words gay and lesbian, but it's the words such as demisexual, pansexual, and asexual. So I can't even get my head around that. And I wouldn't even bother looking up what does demisexual or asexual mean here. So on page 23 then of the same resource, children then can fill out a handout to make sure that they actually understand these terms, and also these terms also include words such as bisexual and heteronormativity. So it's really full force when the students come into the secondary school system, the post-primary system. It's full force with this subject, SPHE, bringing in this new concept of sexuality education. And again, this course, the SPHE, it's anchored as a well-being subject. It's a well-being subject. It's anchored in the core curriculum. And children have to get 1 hour per week over the 3 years. So they will have a total of 300 hours of SPHE, and this is what they're being taught. Moving on then onto page 25, this is where children are actually asked to discuss and reflect upon what makes a family. And all different terms will come up in relation to the family. So, for example, they'll talk about single-parent families, blended families, extended families, same-sex couple families, and the nuclear family. And that's fine, no problem with that. But in the video that they're actually shown in relation to what is a family, the video actually talks about the nuclear family, and the way they actually describe the nuclear family is it consists of 2 parents and children. They do not mention the word mum and dad, left out. But when they're talking about families that have 2 mums or 2 dads, that's mentioned, but they will not mention families that have a mum and dad. And I really am offended by that they're not able to say there are families there that have mums and dads. And now they've also introduced a new word into this video, which again, just to stress, it's from the Department of Education, it's in the SPHE toolkit. It's about the word chosen family. As a young person grows up, they create a chosen family which does not include blood relatives, but instead are made up of friends and other supportive people who take on the role of family. And to me, I find this very strange that they would be introducing the word chosen family. It's like it's indoctrinating them into a new community. So if, for example, you have problems with your own family, you look to the chosen family that you choose. So it could be the LGBT community that they're referring to there. So moving on, the pressures to become sexually intimate. Just to mention that the word intimate appears in the specification 9 times. There's no mention of the word marriage. Here we see the definition of sexual activity stroke intimacy as stated by the Department of Education. It's a range of activities from kissing, touching, fondling to sexual intercourse in all its forms. Okay? And these can be solitary or involve other people. And that's the way it is stated on the Department of Education specification. So we see up there on the screen the definition. They have stated out the sexual intercourse in all its form, vaginal sex, anal sex and oral sex, it's stated there. But the Department of Education are also trying to normalise anal sex coming amongst young people. And this is a fact, again, because it's actually stated in the SPHE toolkit. We have it on page 69 of the SPHE toolkit, where children are told about vagina or anus sex. And it's also in a video clip that is used in relation to sexually transmitted disease. Okay, they refer there to anal sex. Okay, so just closing out, there's a lot of talk there about masturbation. There's one book there in particular which gives 8 pages of information in relation to masturbation. And again, masturbation is also stated in the document here. So look, I hope I gave you there just a small little insight into what's in the SPHE curriculum in the SPHE toolkit. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. So thanks very much.